Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakah, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom. This is Brother Iron from HMS Jamaica Camp, coming to another quick lesson. And this lesson is coming from Wisdom of Solomon 2, right? And I've going through this chapter, or from chapter 2 all the way to chapter 5, you get to understand the traits of the ungodly, right? And as you see the mindset and the traits of the ungodly, you get to understand that the world that we live in is full of unrighteous and ungodly people. All right, so I'm actually gonna get a quote before I actually read the scripture, and this quote is something I hear in movies a lot. Sometimes I hear it in anime, sometimes you hear it in cartoons, but it's a saying that I usually hear by villains, right? And I was explaining even at camp, to the brotherhood, last week, that the difference between the hero and the villain is the fact that the villain doesn't play by the rules, right? They don't play by the rules. Therefore, at first the heroes, or those who are doing right, are at a disadvantage, right? So they're getting instant gratification, they're getting all the quote unquote good, and they're prospering at first, right? And even their prosperity, sometimes it actually beguiles or corrupts some of the innocent, or those that are within the right frame of mind, because they're saying that, look, I'm tired of being beat, or I'm tired of being on the low, right? It makes no sense to always doing the right thing, because doing the right thing has gotten us nowhere, right? So it's the mindset of if you can't beat them, then you join them, right? While the hero, on the other hand, the hero being at the disadvantage, right, overcome the challenges that comes with being at the disadvantage, and then getting stronger by overcoming those obstacles, and then being strong enough to actually defeat the villain, right? Because that strength will have true substance. That strength will have the structures and the rules in play to actually guide it. And then when they actually overcome the wicked, or the villain, all that they worked for in the end up not making any sense, not actually being prosperous, nothing of the sort. All right, and it's the same thing with us. Now the quote, I tried to type it word for word in Google, but I got a little historical excerpt, if you will, right? It says, I said, who said the strong must rule the weak? Right. I also think this is a term that is used in Darwinism as well. Right. It says the idea, though not the wording, has been attributed to the history of the Peloponnesian War by the ancient historian Tacitus, right, who stated that right as the world goes is only in question between equals in power, while the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. And that's the thing, the idea is basically that fact that, look, either if you play by the rules, you're weak, sorry. And if you're just lawless and just take what you can, if you can, when you can, then you're right. And if you actually die, then it means that the person that won, regardless of how unrighteous or devious they were, they're within their right, because they were stronger, therefore they were more supreme, right? So let's get in the scriptures, and let's see the mindset of the ungodly. Now, I'm not going to read all three chapters from chapter 2 to chapter 5, but I will be jumping around a bit. Chapter 2, I'll start with verse 5. It says, "For our time is a very shadow that passeth away." This is the ungodly speaking. "And after our end there is no returning, nor is it fast, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth." Right? So their mindset is all about the present. Right? It's not about the future. It's take what you can now, regardless of the means. Right? It says, "Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no favor of the spring pass us by. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered." Right? Let none of us go out without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, and our lot is this. And even in this world, usually those who are who are doing unrighteously, they usually profit a lot, right? They have a lot of quote unquote comforts and pleasures of this life, and in their mind they take no regard for how they get it, whether it's by killing, whether it's by stealing, whether it's by defrauding, whether it's by stepping on on someone's back, whether it's betraying. They don't care. It's all about the here and the now. Right? Verse 10 will go and further push the point. It says, "Let us oppress the poor righteous man, let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth." And that this is the verse 11 is what actually brought back that quote to me, right? Where it says, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. And that's the thing. Yahweh Shem Yahushai cares for the feeble, right? They care for the weak, right? So the ungodly have the mindset of, once you're weaker than they are, then you are supposed to, exert your strength and your power above them to your benefit, right? And just to prove the so-called white man is the devil, Yahweh Shai says, what, ye are of your father the devil, right? Ye are of your father the devil, right? Even in the garden, basically what the serpent is was show that, look, Salakia, there's a different way how you can get things, right? And everything would have been what, contrary to the scriptures or to the law, right? It says, therefore let us lie in wait, because so here's what they say, right? Let me start verse 11 again. It says, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraided us with our offending the law, and objected to our infamy, the transgressions of our education, right? So therefore they consider, they're saying that that which is feeble is nothing worth, and they preying upon the righteous consider the righteous of being nothing worth, right? Now jumping down, it says let's start at verse 19. It says, let us examine with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Right? So they continue to oppress, them which are godly, in hopes that they would break. Right? It says, let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. It says, such things did they imagine, and they were deceived, for their own wickedness had blinded them. Right? So that's true. Right? Let me see if I actually passed. Right. Let us verse 22, right? It says, as for the mysteries of God, they knew them not, neither hope they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. And that's where they got tripped up, right? Because they're saying that, look, to be weak is of nothing worth. Therefore, being weak, there's no reward of being weak, i.e., there's no reward for being righteous. There's no there's no reward for being a blameless soul, right? These are the people that usually gets pushed over. These are the people that usually get stepped up on, right? And part of that says what, they for as the mysteries of God they know them not, right? Neither hope they for the wages of righteousness. So they don't think there's nothing for they don't think that there is a reward or there's a wage of righteousness, right? Or even if they should consider that it actually there is a wage, they don't want it. Because when we tell them, that look, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, we have to suffer now, for what is to come, and there's much glory to come, what is in the next life, or we're actually looking for the kingdom of heaven, that is foolishness unto them. They don't want to hear that. They can't see that. When we say, look, follow these scriptures, and turn from your wicked ways, they don't see the benefit of actually doing that. But they see the here and the now, as they always say, look, we're all going to die one day. And that is why, the YOLO, you only live once and do what thou wilt. It actually highlights how evil and how wicked of a mantra that is. Right? Because there is hope. There is a wage for the righteous. There are, there is a reward for the blameless soul. Right? Verse 23 says, for God created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do whole of his side do find it. And that's what's going to happen to them. They're going to see that the reward of the here and the now, right, is nothing compared to the reward of the righteous. All right. Now let me just skip through verse 3 to see where my points are. It says, well, let me just jump around, right? So verse chapter 3 verse 1, it says, but the souls of the righteous are in the hand of the Most High, and there shall no torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery. So the fact that it seems like the righteous or the blameless is always the one that is being taken advantage of, is always at a disadvantage, is always being tread upon, right? And then they see that they maintain their righteous ways, but still in the end they get the short stick. In their eyes, they're like, hey, that makes no sense. There's no profit in that, right? Verse 3 says, and they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. And why they are in peace? Because their conscience, and they know the mysteries of the Most High. They know that there's a reward to be had. They know that they actually followed the right path, right? So their mind and their spirit is pure, right? It says, for they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded, for God proved them and found them worthy for himself. Right? As gold is in the furnace, he tried them and received them as a burnt offering. And we were discussing this at camp as well. The fact that the Lord is actually using the ungodly and the unrighteous to throw challenges at us that we should overcome, because the scripture said that there's no temptation taking you that is that which is and that which is common to man, and the Lord will actually with the temptation give a way to escape, right? It also says that he won't tempt a man above that which he's able to bear, right? It also says, right, verse 7 says, well, let me start at 6 again. It says, as gold is tried in the furnace, had he tried them and received them as a burnt offering, and as in the time of their visitation they shall shine, and shall run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. They shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord shall reign forever. Right? And that's the thing. That's the reward that the righteous is going to get. But because the wicked can't see it in the here and the now, they cast it aside. right? Now, jumping down, verse 10 says, "But the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imaginations, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Lord. For who despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable." And exactly, because that goes back to what I was saying earlier about, the righteous being nurtured through the afflictions and the trials of being at the disadvantage and seeming to lose at the first, right? While the villain will actually seem to be actually winning, right? Because their gain is not the right way, and secondly, it's not built upon anything of substance. It's built upon vanity. It's built upon sin. It's built upon wickedness, right? It says, "And their hope is vain, and their labors unfruitful, and their works profitable." Because guess what? In the end, they truly do die, because they're saying that, look, we're going to do this because we're going to die. So really, instead of thinking about it, immortality, they are more focused on death. What if they had focused on immortality and doing the deeds of righteousness, which is to be immortal, right? Then they would have gotten that reward that would have have been of substance. So basically, the wickedness had actually deceived them, right? So it says, "Who despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and his hope is vain. Their labors unfruitful, and their works unprofitable," because in the end, it's actually going to be thrown aside, right? Let me see something real quickly. Right, verse 19 says, "For horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation," right? And we're going to see it in these times, right? Now, jumping down here, it says, "Better it is to have no children and to have virtue, for the memorial is for the memorial thereof is immortal, because it is known with God and with men. When it is present, men take example at it, and when it is gone, they desire it. It weareth a crown and triumph forever, having gotten the victory, striving for undefiled rewards." And that's what the ungodly and the unrighteous do. They strive for defiled rewards. And how we know that? Because of the actions that they take. Right? It says, but the multiplied brooding of the ungodly shall not thrive, nor take deep root, for bastard slips, nor lay any fast foundation. Exactly. So their foundation is weak. Right? It says, for though they flourish in branches for a time, yet standing not last. They shall be shaken with the wind, and though the force of the winds, they shall be rooted out. The imperfect branches shall be broken off, their fruit unprofitable, not ripe to eat, yea, meat for nothing. So all the things that they were actually doing in the end, it wouldn't come to perfection. It wouldn't last long. As it says, when fruits actually fall off a branch, that aren't ripe, you can't eat them, and pretty much what you do is you throw them away, or you kick them, just there's no use. So when, even though at the first they were bearing, right, they're bearing for, and the fruits were coming, but in the midst of them actually, having what they thought they have, they lose it all, right? So it would have seemed as if they were actually profiting, but the fruits were not perfected, right? Jumping down, it says, but the righteous But though the righteous be prevented with death, yet shall he be in rest. Because once again, that mindset, right, that they actually know that they strive for that righteous, that undefiled reward, right? For honorable age is not that which standeth in the length of time, nor that which is measured in numbers of years, but wisdom is the gray hair unto men, and unspotted life is old age. All right, Slakia, let me go down and see what's happening here. Um, right, let me see. That's the accounts. All right, let me skip through verse 5, right? Well, 5:1 is a good one. It says, Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as afflicted him and made no account of his labors. Exactly. How do they not make account of the righteous labor? Because they're saying that, look, there's no profit in it. So they do what they wilt and they got their reward. And when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. Right? And that's the thing. They didn't imagine that there was such a great reward for being righteous. Right? It says, and they repenting and groan for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, This is he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. Slakia. We fools accounted his life madness, and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of the Most High, and his lot is among the saints. Right? Hold on. Slakia, let me jump down. It says, Therefore we have erred from the way of truth and turned, and the light of righteousness had not shined unto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us. We wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yea, we have gone through deserts where there lay no way. But as for the way of the Lord, we have not known it. And that's the thing. Right? They did not know the way of the Lord. They did not know that there was true profit. They didn't know that there was a true reward. Right? Verse 8 says, What had pride profited us? Or what good had riches with our vaunting brought us? All those things are passed away like a shadow, and as a post had that hasted by. Slakia, let me check something. All right, right. So as all those things are passed away like a shadow, and as a post that hasted by, as a ship that passeth over the waves of the water, which when it is gone by, the trace thereof cannot be found, neither the path of the keel in the waves. Or as when the bird had flown through the air, there is no token of her way to be found, but the light air being beaten with the strokes of her wings and parted with violent noise and motion of them, is passed through, and therein afterwards no sign where she went is to be found. And that's exactly what's going to happen to this world. Nobody's going to remember all the wickedness and all the quote unquote glory of this world. All the glory of this world is going to be considered shame. And then ultimately it's going to be forgotten. Right? But they would have, taught themselves to be in good case because, they, as Yahushua said, woe unto you that be rich, for you have received your consolation. Right? But the consolation is not truly a consolation, because all of this shall be changed. All of this will be passed away. And it's the same thing that, it's going to happen to the true devil, which is Esau. Right? It says, or like as when an arrow is shot at a mark, it parted the air, which immediately cometh together again, so that a man cannot know where it went through. Right? It says, even so we in like manner, as soon as we were born, began to draw to our end, and had no sign of virtue to show, but were consumed in our own wickedness. Because at the end of the day, it said in the last chapter that righteousness shall be known of God and of men, and when it is absent, men shall desire it. But guess what? When there's wickedness, when there's peace, no one desires wickedness. So you having no sign or no works of virtue, you actually cause yourself to be to pass away, right? Because at the end of the day, righteousness shall flourish, truth shall flourish, right? It says, for the hope of the ungodly is like dust that is blown away with the wind, like a tin fort that is driven away with the storm, like as smoke which is dispersed here and there with a tempest, and passeth away as the remembrance of a guest that tarried but a day. But righteousness live for evermore. So it shows that all this wickedness will be done away with, and all these ungodly acts, these ungodly works, and all the quote unquote profit, or gain that they thought they have, it's gonna be just like when fruits fall off a tree before they're actually ripe. Right? But the righteous live forevermore. Their reward also is with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High. And here's the reward highlighted again. Therefore, they shall receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. Referring to who? Yahweh Shai. Right? And that's the thing, that's pretty much, the point. You can read through the whole, chapters, to get the fullness. But at the end of it, even though they seem to thrive now, and shows that it sync up with the mindset that they currently have, right? Starting with the unbelievers of our people and Esau, because the reason why they're thinking like this is because they're thinking like their father, the devil, right? And they're both going to suffer the same fate. All of this that they're glorying in will be to their shame and will all be forgotten. While those who are, who suffer for righteousness' sake, and endure unto the end, Lord willing, we're of those men, we have to elect, then we are the ones that will get the glory and the true glory and really have immortality. So that mindset that they have is of a mindset of death, while having a righteous mindset is a mindset of immortality unto life. All right. So with that, hope this was edifying. Want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, the hopeful elect. Shalom.